Finally! Illustrations by me. So I want to preface this by saying, the first name that I've ever heard in watercolor was Winsor and Newton. That was the first one ever. But and a matter of fact, my first palette was a Cotman palette. As a matter of fact, it was this Cotman palette. It says Winsor and Newton on it. And hold on here, I'll show you here in a second. So you open it up like this, and I put the color card up here, but there's a mixing area up here. And these had little half pans in them, in these little sections in here. That's not what I did with it. What I did with it is I ripped them out, I threw them in the garbage, and then I put full pan, it opens up to a full pan when you take out the half pans, and then I just put my paint in there. These are actually the Daniel Smith Basic set with an added color here, and then I have this here is a Cotman color that I still use. This is the Payne's Gray, and then I have two more. I have the Raw Sienna up here and the light red over here. And, the light red, yeah, that's what it is. And then I have a couple of Magello colors up there, because those are the only two I have ever seen. But anyway, let me show you here. This little thing pulls out here, and you stick your thumb up in here, and you hold it. This thing comes out. Oh, so did the paint. And it sits on the side like that. The paint fell out. It's just dry a little bit. That's okay, don't worry about that. So you put your thumb there, and you hold it right here. It has a little spot for your thumb. And you paint. You mix up here. You can mix down here. You could put water in this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put water in this. You want to know why I'm not going to put water in it? Because that's not going to do anything. You fill up a thimble full of water, it does nothing. So I turned it into 2 extra pans. I put the Payne's Gray in one. I'm going to put something else in the other one. But anyway, first palette I've ever seen, ever had. And for a while, I didn't do that. For a while, I left the Cotman watercolor paints in there. I still have a bunch. I came across, in the last house that I lived in, when I first moved in, the people that left there left a set of Cotman watercolor paints. So that was one, and it was before I ever got back into art, so I just stuck them in a closet somewhere. Eventually got back into art. I said, wait a minute, I wonder if those are still there. Took them out, used them, they worked. Everything was fine. So yeah, it was still liquid. It still came out of the tube and everything. As a matter of fact, I still have those tubes. I have them in a bin. But the point is, I've only ever used the Cotman watercolor paint. I wanted a professional set for a long time, but I was almost a hobo. It was not a good thing. So I only had a little bit of money, and about 36 cents less than I have now. But it's still, I couldn't afford to get a regular set of the Winsor and Newton professional. I say Winsor Newton. You're going to hear me say that the whole time. It's Winsor and Newton. I know. I just don't worry about it. Anyway, I wanted to get the professional line for a long time, but those sets are expensive, and so I never did. And what I should have done is just bought tubes one at a time. So what I'm going to do this time is I got the full dot card, the swatch out of the dot cards. We're going to swatch out the whole dot card. I don't think there's enough paint on there. Those are tiny dots. I've never seen such small dots, but I don't think there's enough paint on there to paint something from the dots. So all I'm going to do in this video is just go through the swatching part of it. We'll talk about it. And then I'm going to pick some colors from there. I think in the future, I'm going to buy a couple of tubes and add them to my collection, because Winsor and Newton is kind of like, let me reverse that. Daniel Smith is kind of like the US version of the Winsor and Newton. So the Winsor and Newton has been around for so long, and they're just a very reputable company. They have tremendous amount of people who use their stuff. They are all over the place. You know their name. If you've ever looked at watercolor, you're probably familiar with them. They're known for their quality and for their color selection. So I'm going to pick a few. That's what I'm going to try and do here. But we're going to go through them. We'll talk about them a little bit. I'll swatch them out. Before we do that, listen, I don't take this lightly. I am contacted by companies constantly that want me to put on halter tops and put that in the video, and then they send it to me. No, we're not doing that. They want to send me a pair of high heels or something. Listen, I turn down a lot of things, but if I think something can help you, I want to bring it on the show. So what I've done is, I don't even know if that was a word. It was a mix between channel and show. It was just chow. That's what it is. So anyway, I have something here that I would like to show to you. And it is something, a lot of you say that you have pain in your wrist. And I have pain in my wrist. And I'm an artist. And that's a problem. If you have pain in your wrist, you have arthritis or whatever the problem is, it's best for arthritis, because arthritis is what's known as, I'm going to get a little technical on you, I have a different life. It's cold. It's considered a cold condition. It's something that you have to warm up the tissue, warm up the joints, and then they feel a little better. So you put heat on it, you warm it up a little bit, it feels a little better. That's a wonderful thing. So this company, UTK, they decided to send me this here. Don't worry about the breaking the box. That just happened. It's fine. Anyway, it's a wrist wrap, and they use jade. They heat up these little pieces of natural jade with far infrared. Now, far infrared is a little different than regular infrared. It's, and believe me, they did not give me any information. There's no promotional material at all. I just know certain things, and the other stuff it says it on the box. There's stuff on the box, like boxes do. So, there's an instruction thing, so I knew to warm it up. You got to warm it up. You plug it in, because the far infrared does take time to warm up. I knew that. No matter what it is, you usually set it up first, you let it sit for a few minutes, and then you use it, because it takes some time to heat up. So let me show you here in the top-down view here. Okay, so you see these are jade elements, basically. It's natural jade, which is why they're not pure green. And that's why I say all the time, Daniel Smith, the jadeite genuine, this is not where they get the color from. Do you see the color of that? That's a natural jade color. Okay, anyway, I know some jade can look very green, but it's still very pale in thin layers. You would never get a powder of jade to look that green. Anyway, so these elements are starting to warm up. There's a little controller here, and you can turn it on here, and then you set the temperature, low, medium, and high. I have it on high right now, and it doesn't feel that hot. It's warm enough, but it doesn't feel too hot where I can't touch it. Then there's a timer here, so you can have it 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. And then you just, let me show you where it hits though. So when you put your hand down on here, it's hitting up in here, which means all this up in here is where it's resting on here, and that feels nice. And then you wrap that around so you can see where those hit. They're hitting right back here. My pain is actually, I have a spot right here on the back of my wrist here that hurts, a little bit of pain up in here, and then I get this cramp right up in here. This hurts all the time. So putting this here, and you can see where that lays right on my hand. So that's like the palm, right on the inside of where that muscle is. And then it hits further down and further down. Anyway, you put this on like that. You pull this over like that. And then you pull this part's stretchy, so you can pull this one pretty tight. And then if you need to adjust this one again, you can, which is what I will do now. Okay, so now it's hitting all the spots. I feel it right here. I feel it all up in here, and it's nice. And I can still move. I can write, I can draw, I can paint. That's wonderful. So the fact that I can actually use it to do the video would be wonderful. I don't want to get it filthy with, I'm going to be using some paint and stuff, and I'll smear it and get it all over this. I don't want to do that. But I did want to let you know about it, because a lot of you have said I have pain in my hand and I'm going to try and do this art and it hurts and I would like some relief. So I would recommend you put it on like the at least half-hour mark, and then you because you have to let it sit for about 15 minutes, the 10 to 15 minutes, and then you stick it on and you have it sit on you for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can take it off or whatever. But it does have the timer, so if you tend to fall asleep, don't worry about it. It'll shut off. Isn't that wonderful? Now also make sure that the temperature is okay for you. It's very warm right now. It's not too hot, but it's very warm. So if you're very sensitive to that, make sure you go down a little bit. That's all. Just tune it down a little bit. But very comfortable and easy to use. You can write, you can paint, everything's fine. So I did want to show that to you. They said, if we send it to you, would you put it in a video? And I said, I think that's actually a benefit to the people in the audience. I'll put the link down below where you can get it. And I think, well, let me see here. So one of two things, either I'm putting an Amazon link down below, or they're going to send me their link, and I'll put that down below, and you can, I don't know if you order it directly from them or if it's their Amazon link or how that works, but there will be a link for this down below. And the cord is so freaking long. I'm not gonna even, it's plugged in right now. It's plugged in now against the wall, and I have all of this here. I could walk to the other side of the room, everything would be fine. There's just, that's a long cord. So wherever you're sitting in your chair, you're gonna relax a little bit. It's fine. And this has been on for a while now, and it's not too hot. It's just warm enough for me. It's just, I'd say warm. It's hot, but it's not too hot. So it's just good enough for me. I'm gonna keep it on just like that. And the one thing that I will tell you is that I know heat helps. So even if you don't purchase this, get like something warm to put on if you have arthritic joints and things. I usually use some liniments that I make for myself and put that on, and it warms up the area. That's what it's designed to do, is increase circulation, so it heats up the area. And it helps. I know it does. So just keep that area wherever you have the arthritis warm, and hopefully it helps you. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the swatching, and it's one of the most exciting videos, just like every other video I say that in. One of the most exciting times I'm gonna have, because the Winsor and Newton colors, I've wanted to use them for so long, the professional series, and I finally said, you know what? I don't know. It's very hard, because when you have colors that you're looking at online, it's not the colors you're gonna get. You're gonna get it and put it on the paper like, oh, that's not exactly what I was looking for. Because colors are they hit you from a live setting, and you're like, oh, I love that color. And then you go to, that's what you want. But if you look at it online and say, oh, I love that color, I like how it's just a little bit more red or a little bit more blue, and then you get it and you're like, oh, that's not what it is at all. It's kind of dull. I don't like it. So I want to see it, and then I'm going to pick some to buy. That's what I'm going to do. I want to put at least one of the Winsor and Newton colors in my palette, because I think they deserve a place there. They've been around long enough that they deserve a place somewhere. Or I might just get a regular Winsor and Newton palette that I just use just those colors for that, even if I just pick a small set of maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. But anyway, let's get into the swatch. Okay, so in case I didn't say it before, I am going to do this right on the sheet. These dots are tiny, so we'll just do it right here. But please, someone tell me where to find the pigment information for these colors. They're not on the dot cards. You'll see the dot card a little bit closer. I've got the color number, and then I have some permanence rating. I have whether it's staining or not. I have the transparency rating. I have the ASTM, which is the light fast rating, and I have whether it's granulating or not. But I do not have any information on the pigments. So I went on the website. I'm looking on the website. Nothing. I checked everything. I'm going through the colors. I don't see any information of pigment. What are they using? I don't know what it is. So that I've never seen that before on a company website where they didn't tell you at all. I've looked at the individual paints. I've looked at the big swatch card sheet. I've looked at everything that they have available on their watercolor, and I do not see any information on pigment information. That is strike one, ladies and gentlemen. I can't understand that. Like, one of the colors is cadmium-free lemon. Well, if it's cadmium-free, what are you using? Tell me what it is. No, you just take our word for it. It's good. That's not how it works. You have to tell people what you're using. Now, these are not sketchbook paints. This is not something you go to the store and you pay $5 for a set of 24. This is the top of the line watercolor here. This is one of the most known companies in the world for watercolor, and they don't tell you I just don't understand. I have no idea. I'm looking all over the website. I cannot find anything. You scroll through the whole thing, the whole description of what it is, and oh, it's a great permanent color and light fastness is great. Well, what is it? I've even pulled out the safety data sheet and tried to find what the pigment is. They don't list it. They list some chemicals that the pigment may be made of, or some things that are in there, like, oh, zinc is in there. That doesn't mean it's a white. It just means that there's some zinc in it. So it doesn't, I don't know what it is, but so I'm not going to be able to tell you any information on pigments and that kind of stuff. So we're just going to swatch through them, and I'm just going to make comments about the actual color itself. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so here's some information about this. You see up at the top here, you have the colors available and things like that, and how many and what they are. So 108 in the 5 milliliter and the 14 milliliter. So you can see what they are if you want liquid tubes or you want pans or whatever it is. Tells you how many of those colors are available in that. You have the key. So this is the key. This is the information they actually tell you underneath the paint. And you have the permanence rating here, the staining or the granulating, or whether it's transparent or whatever it is. And they give you some of that. They give you the ASTM here, which is the light fastness. All wonderful, but I still don't have any information. And sometimes they do not give you, if you notice here, there's nothing. See right here, there's a 2, there's a little 2. That's a 2 light fast rating. It's very good light fast rating. So it says, where there's no ASTM rating listed, oh, that's up here, please refer to the Winsor and Newton permanence rating, and that's it. So now this is what I'm talking about, that permanence is different than light fastness. A Sharpie marker is a permanent marker. That's what it is. It has fine permanence. There's nothing wrong with it, but that doesn't mean it's light fast. As a matter of fact, it's not light fast at all. So there's a difference between permanence and light fast. That's a different thing. So they're saying that, I guess if it doesn't mention it, then they didn't test it. So I have no idea what's happening here. This is the first time I've come across something like this from a top-of-the-line company like this, where they're not giving you some information. Pigments, light fast, that kind of stuff. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to try it. I'm not knocking them necessarily for that. I know that they have a great reputation, but that's something that I just find it shouldn't happen in 2025. You should have the information. That's all. Okay. So we're going to look at this here, extremely permanent. This is the lemon yellow. It's extremely permanent. You know I do not like a lemon yellow. It's not something I'm going to be buying. We have the S4, which means that's the series number. Okay, series 4. I'm not going to call those out, what series it's in. That just means how much money it costs. The series 4 is, I guess, more money than a series 1, basically. This is opaque. We have excellent light fastness, and it's supposed to be granulating, according to that G. I guess granulation, very interesting, from a lemon yellow. It says nickel titanate right there. It does give me some information right there, but it doesn't tell me the pigment number. So if you have like for example, a Hansa yellow, or in this case, like a Winsor lemon over here. So you can see right here is a Winsor lemon. Yeah, Winsor lemon. Yeah, that's what it says. It doesn't tell you the pigment information. So this one, at least it gives you something to go on, a nickel titanate. Okay, I got it. And that's interesting because at least it gives you something. My goodness. All right, so let's see here. And this re-wet instantly. Absolutely not a problem. And just like I expected it to be, it's a very bright yellow. Very cool, bright yellow. If you ever want to know what a cool yellow looks like, you look at a lemon yellow. That's a cool yellow. Bismuth yellow. This is very familiar. I've seen many of these. It's another bright yellow, but it's more like a neon or fluorescent kind of color than the regular lemon color. You see, that's a much brighter color than the lemon color. And so, same thing though. It's a little bit deeper of a yellow. Still a cool yellow. Very, very cool. This is a cadmium yellow. Oh, let me go back to that because I didn't read anything from this. So the bismuth yellow. This has a permanent, that's all it says, permanent. There's no rating for this. So it's permanent, that's all you know. Series 3, I'm not going to read all those. Semi-opaque and staining. So that's interesting. Okay, this is a cadmium lemon. Let's see what we have going on here. And that's, okay, so that's brighter still. My goodness, that's brighter than the, maybe it dulls down a little bit. It's starting to look very similar. So if you maybe don't want to deal with the cadmiums and you want to maybe pop over to the bismuth, that's one that you can go. And but the cadmium is very opaque according to this, even though it didn't cover the line at all. That's okay. That's what they're saying. We're going to go with it. And it's a light fast of 1, excellent light fastness, and it says staining. So that's good. We have here the cadmium free lemon. I have no idea what that means. I don't know what paint they're actually using for that, but that's supposed to be very opaque as well. And again, I just don't see it happening. It's not really covering the line at all. I don't see it sitting on top much. Anyway, it is a Series 4. Oh, I keep saying it even though I said I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to say it. Series 4. A is permanent. That's all it means, is permanent. Series 4, opaque, and it's excellent light fastness. Okay, Winsor Lemon. Now, a lot of the companies do this. They call it their own name. We're going to cover another company that does that because I think they have something in common with this company. So, but we'll go into that in another video. This Winsor Lemon right here is just another lemon yellow color. And as you can see, it sure is. This one is semi-transparent. I don't know what the difference is between semi-transparent and semi-opaque because I don't think there's that much of a difference at all that you can actually look at and see. It's either opaque or it's not opaque. I can see something being semi-opaque and being kind of opaque, but not really. But when you start going into semi-opaque and semi-transparent, I don't think you can really tell that. That's just a judgment call. It's just how you applied it at that particular time. It's a Series 1, which means it's very inexpensive. So if you like the other ones, but they're too expensive, that's the one to get. It's less expensive, and it says it's semi-transparent, and it's staining as well. Okay, we have a Winsor Yellow. So this is not the lemon, this is just the yellow. And yes, it is. It's a yellow color. That one was a little bit harder to re-wet. Not the fault of the paint. I think the brush was a little dry. That's not how that goes. So we have a Series 1 semi. It's basically the same standard as the other one. So if you like one, you like the other. You just pick whichever one you have available. There's a little bit of warmth to that one, but not much at all. You put some water on them, they virtually work the same. Lemon Yellow Deep. So this would be, I guess as a Daniel Smith, would be like the Hansa Yellow Deep, only not deep at all. So this does not have a lot of that deep, warm color to it at all. It's AA means extremely permanent because they don't have a light fast rating. Series 2, semi-opaque, and this is granulating. My throat's already hurts. I'm not going to get through this video. All right. Here we go, transparent yellow. Let's see what a transparent yellow looks like. That's a very interesting color. Almost reminds me a little bit of, yeah, I'm just going to pull some of that color out a little bit. Almost reminds me a little bit of a, like a nickel azo or something like that, or something similar to that. Or maybe just an azo yellow without the nickel. It's not as dirty as a nickel azo yellow, but maybe the just a little bit like a regular azo yellow. Permanent Series 1, transparent, light fast of 1, which is excellent, and staining. Cadmium Yellow Pale, which has a little bit of warmth to it. Oh, that one is, okay, so I can see that one being more opaque, definitely. It sits on top of the line, and I know I'm running into the other paint, I apologize, but I wanted to run over the line a little bit. I did on the top and bottom as well to see how opaque it was, and it is a little opaque. I could see it sitting, especially over here, sitting on top of that line. So we have a permanent rating, and we have the Series 4, opaque, and excellent light fastness and staining. Cadmium free yellow pale, so they're just the same thing but kind of different. And if you don't want to deal with the cadmiums, which a lot of people do not, and I don't blame you, that's fine. You don't have to deal with whatever you don't want to deal with. and they're similar in hue. They are very similar, just as opaque as the other one. Maybe not as much. I don't know. It's sitting on top of the line, but not as much. So I would maybe call that semi-opaque, but that's okay. It's opaque. Permanent Series 4, just like the other one. Opaque, excellent light fastness, but this one does not have a staining on it. So this is not staining, that one is. Depends on how you like your staining, I guess then. We're moving this way because this is how they do it. They don't go down to the next row here. They move across both spreads. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, we have a Turner's yellow. Now, the only other time I've seen a Turner's color is, I think it was in a Japanese set, like a Shinhan or something. Is that a Japanese set? No, maybe it's a Chinese set. The Shinhan, I don't know if what that is, but I have seen that in there. I've seen in the Turner brand, I've seen the Turner yellow, but which is probably more like the Winsor yellow from this set. Extremely permanent, Series 3, and opaque with no other ratings. We have no idea about it. New Gamboge. Now this one is going to either make or break this set for me because I love New Gamboge. It's one of my favorite colors from Daniel Smith, so it has to live up to that. It's a very pretty color. That's a warm yellow, and it has that extra warmth in it. I like it. I think that's a good color. If I get a set, I may pick that one out and use that one. Permanent, Series 1, semi-transparent, and light fast of 2 is very good. Now our standard cadmium yellow here. And I'm going to put that up here because it's supposed to sit on top of that line a little bit, and it does. It definitely does. It's a little opaque, and that's what it's supposed to be. All cadmiums are opaque in general, so this is an actual cadmium. I would bet anything on it. It's permanent, Series 4, opaque, and excellent light fastness. Now, just to clarify, this does not look like the Daniel Smith New Gamboge, but I do like that color. It's a very pretty color. Okay, cad-free yellow. So it's going to be, they're going to try and make it exactly like the other one, just the cadmium-free version. And so it has all the same ratings. It has the permanent, Series 4, opaque, and excellent light fastness. It's a little warmer, I think. It's a little touch warmer than the actual cadmium yellow, but that's okay. It's a very pretty color. I like that color. I like warm yellows, so I like that color. The warm yellows are my thing. Winter Yellow Deep, and this is going to be another warm yellow. These are the yellows that I really enjoy. Warm yellows, only this one is semi-transparent. So if you like something that's close to in color, with warmth-wise anyway, but not as opaque, you can pick this one up. And it's a Series 1, so it's less expensive. And that's good because a lot of people don't like to spend a lot of money on stuff. So the Series 1 is less expensive. Semi-transparent, light fast of 2, which is very good. Indian yellow. Now, I usually love this color in every set, and this is not going to be an exception at all. I love that color. It's wonderful. It's a very golden, warm yellow. I love it. It's great for sunsets. It's very nice. That's permanent Series 1, so it's inexpensive. It's completely transparent with a very good light fast rating. Okay, the cadmium yellow deep. Let's take a look at see what that is. And yes, that is a opaque paint. Absolutely wonderful. I like the color of it. We're getting warmer and warmer here till we get towards an orange. And we have the cadmium. It's a Series 4. All cadmium seem to be Series 4 here. Permanent, Series 4, opaque, and light fast of 1. Excellent light fastness. So this is going to be right next to it is the same thing, but it's supposed to be the CAD-free version of it. These are a little different though. This is more orange than this one. This is like a deeper yellow. This is a more orange yellow. It's a little different, but they're very close. You could probably apply them the same way and they'd work the same. And same ratings as the other one. Okay, cadmium orange. We're getting into the oranges. Again, colors that I love orange. And very opaque, just like it said. Again, a Series 4 with a good permanence and opaque and a excellent light fastness. Seems like every time they have one for a cadmium, they come up with one that's not a cadmium and they list it right next to it. And they always seem to be slightly different color, slightly different shade or hue of the color, but very close, not bad. So you see these two are close, these two are close. they try and do their best to get them together, and they end up being Series 4s, which are more expensive, opaque, and excellent light fastness. I don't know what that was. It was like I breathed in while I was talking. It just cut my sentence off. Anyway, here we go with a Winsor orange. And so I don't know what color that is because I don't know what a Winsor orange would be. So I do like that they give you these on watercolor paper so you can just swatch them out right on here. That's nice because that dot is kind of small. I might be able to do something with it, but I'm going to save that because I want to compare it to another company, and I might save some of that paint. So anyway, we have here, it's a permanent, Series 1, semi-opaque, and we have a 2 light fast rating, which is excellent. Or very good, sorry, it's very good. Excellent is 1. Okay, transparent orange. Now, transparent oranges I tend to like. They're a little bit more red, and that's what I like about them. They usually lean a little bit more to the warmer side, to the red side, and I like them a little bit more than like the pumpkin oranges. So you might say that's a pumpkin orange, and this is not. It's a more of a red orange. I really enjoy that. It's a permanent Series 3, transparent, and light fastness of 1, which is excellent. Right here we have the Winsor orange, red shade. So should be kind of redder. I don't know. Yeah, this is different. This is that's more like a, I don't know. Let's wait and see when it dries. It's more like a warm red than it is a reddish orange. So yeah, more of an orange leaning red than a red leaning orange. And so I like this color better than this color. I would get this color. I would not get that color, I don't think. Cadmium scarlet, that's interesting. A cadmium scarlet. Very, very reddish color here, very warm. Not a warm red person. I'm not into the warm reds, but that's okay. It's a permanent, Series 4 opaque, excellent light fastness, and it's staining. Here's the cadmium-free scarlet. Let's see what they do with that now. So every time they do that, they seem to have one that's cadmium-free, and looks pretty close. That's very close. It's cute that they're holding hands, huh? Anyway, I think that if you put these in a painting, that you wouldn't be able to tell them apart if one was one was the other one. They're both very similar. Okay, next one is Scarlet Lake. So we have permanent. It's Series 2, semi-transparent. We have a very good light fastness and staining. And this is more getting to, we're getting closer to a true red, but still a little bit on the warm side. Much cooler than these are. These are much warmer, but we're getting there. We're getting to the cooler reds. This is a cadmium red, which means, guess what? We're going to have a cadmium-free red right next door. So let's see here. Yep, that is a cadmium red, just as I would expect it to be, which is more of a true red. Doesn't lean either way. When I say that, you can tell if something is a true red or if something is more of a warm or more of a cool. So the cool reds, when you wipe away a little bit of that and you leave a little bit extra water, it looks pink. The warmer reds, when you wipe a little bit extra away, like over here, it leans a little bit more and looks orange. And then a true red, it just looks like a lighter shade of the current color, and that's more like a true red. And that's just how I classify it. That's not a typical classification. I don't think anybody says true red, other than, people say it, but I don't know if it's actually a thing for them. Anyway, this one here, again, same thing. This is just the CAD-free version of this. A little bit different, but overall pretty close. Here's a Cad Red Deep, and this is permanent with Series 4 opaque, excellent light fastness, and granulating. Cadmium Red Deep. I like the cadmium red deeps. I like the red deeps in general because they're more true reds. That's what they are. So this, as you can see here, if I wipe that away, it doesn't look pink, it doesn't look orange, it just looks like a lighter shade of what's on top of it, which means it's more of a true red. That's how I classify it. You classify it however you want. This is completely objective. I'm sorry, subjective, not objective. It's completely subjective to however you want to classify things. Here's a cadmium-free version of that same color, and I do not think it is as nice of a color. I think it should be leaning, that's more like over here. This one goes this way more. I don't think it represents this color. So this color you can see up in here is very dark and deep, and this one is more bright and red, like a fire engine color. So I would not classify these together. I would use that color. I think that that granulating red, which is very nice. Now this one was also granulating. This one said it wasn't granulating, but is granulating. You can see the granulation there. So maybe it's, I don't know. Anyway, this one, you can definitely see the granulation in here. Yeah, I'm not using enough water. Just shut up. I'm using plenty of water. I can see all the granulation in here. If you can't, that's your problem. Okay, let's keep moving. So we have the Winsor Red. Now, Winsor Red is, I'm guessing like a, maybe like a Pyro Red or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea because they don't tell me. But we're getting more to the cooler reds. And when I say that, it means when I do this, you can see that that's leaning a little bit pinkish in the undertone, which means we're getting to the cooler reds now. So still, I would say this is very close to a true red. It's very close to it. This color here, that's a beautiful color. That's a nice dark, deep color. I really like that color. This one here, just a lighter version of that, a little bit cooler version of that. Doesn't get as dark and deep, but still very nice color. I do really like that. This is a rose door. In case you want to go through the gardenia door, that's a different building. This is the rose door, and so we're going to go, it's very weak tinting strength, it looks like. It's not coming off the page well. I don't know if it's because it's just not re-wetting well, or if it's because it's, well, I think it's because it's just not, yeah, because it's just weak tinting strength, because that dot's coming up. So it's just a weaker tinting strength. I would not, I don't even think that that's cooler than this one. This is more of a warm color than that is, so I would not put that there. But they did, and that's what they did with it. So let me go back here to the Winsor Red. We have a permanent Series 1, which is excellent that it's a Series 1 because it means it's inexpensive and it's a great color. And it's also semi-transparent and staining. The rose door is and I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, it's probably like Doré or something weird like that. Anyway, this is a permanent. We have a Series 4 with a transparent, fully transparent on this one. And we have a Light Fast of 2, which is very good, and staining. Although that thing doesn't seem like it's not, how is that staining if it's, maybe it is, but I don't know. I'm lifting it fairly well there just with this. Matter of fact, I almost lifted it completely off that page. It doesn't matter. They say it's staining. We're going to call it staining, but I don't think it is. Quinacridone Red, one of my favorite colors in all of paints. I like the Quinacridone Reds. These are more of a cool color here, and you're going to see that in it, or it should be anyway. Permanent, Series 3, transparent, and 2 Light Fast is very good. So it should be more of, yeah, you can see it's more of a pink color, and that's the difference. So a lot of these are called, some of them just call, say, Quinacridone Pink instead of Quinacridone Red, but I'm trying to get a little bit deeper color here, and you can see it does get a little bit deeper. Not as deep as I think as the Daniel Smith Quinacridone Red, which is different than their Quinacridone Rose. The Quinacridone Rose is much more pinky. This looks kind of like the Quinacridone Rose color instead of the Quinacridone Red, but still great color, very useful and cool. You can see all the pink that's up and down here. So when you compare this to something like this one over here, you can see definitely this is more of a true red. This is more of a cool red. Same thing here. Well, it's a little bit more of a cool red, but still a little bit closer to the true reds than this is here. This is definitely a cool red. Let's go to the Winsor Red Deep. Now, every time you see deep, you want to think more blue. That's usually what it means, is that it's more to the cool side. Not always, as we saw here, this was a deep as well. Although it is a little bit cooler than some of its neighbors here. But that's okay. So the Winsor Red Deep we have here, and it's not as cool. Well, it's cool, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's not only is it cool, it's a beautiful color. We have a, let me just sweep this away a little bit and you can see that pink underneath. And that's how you know, yeah, that's a really beautiful color. Wonderful color. I really like that. So anyway, we have this as a permanent, and we have a series 1, which means it's less expensive and a beautiful color. That you can't get better than that. Semi-opaque, and I would say yes, it did sit on top of that line a little bit over here, and that I see that that's true. And staining is what they say, and I agree with that. This over here is not lifting like the other one lifted almost completely off. It's lifting a little bit, but it's still staining underneath. I can't get that back to white. That one I almost did. So I'll give them this one. Permanent alizarin crimson. I hate permanent alizarin crimsons for one reason. Alizarin crimson is a color. This is an alizarin crimson here. I don't know if it's real. If it's real, it will be a beautiful color that no other red on this whole chart can match. That's the thing with alizarin crimson. I hate to do this because I'm not that kind of way, but this is a poetic color because it is one of the most beautiful reds in the world, and yet it doesn't last. There's no light fastness. So even this says B, which says moderately durable. No, it's not. It'll fade in your sketchbook. The alizarin crimson is one of the most beautiful colors in the world, but it's not permanent. It's not light fast. So it's kind of like all the beauty is not as you have to appreciate the beauty while it's there because it doesn't last. Let's put it that way. That's very poetic color. It's the most poetic color in all of art, and it's a beautiful color. But most people do not use it because it's not light fast. But I still say it's one of the most beautiful colors if it's the real thing. We'll see if it is. So this is the permanent alizarin crimson, and you see whenever someone does a permanent alizarin crimson, they always make it too cool. So alizarin crimson is a cool color, but it's a deep cool color. This is not deep, it's bright. Let's see what this one does. All right, let's see what it does. Yes, okay, so you'll see how deep that color is. It's a cool red, but look how deep it is. It's a beautiful red, absolutely wonderful, and it has a tint in it that you cannot get with any other color. If you take this section here, maybe you can try and get it with this, but you will never get this color to look like this color. This is an actual alizarin crimson. This is a permanent alizarin crimson. I would use this color just for the sake of the color any day of the week. It's beautiful. It just doesn't last. But it's hard to match the beauty of a color like that. Okay, this is a permanent carmine. Carmine, very similar thing. The carmine color itself is not permanent, and so they have a permanent version here. And it's a pretty color. It's pretty. And it's very close to an actual carmine color. I've got to give it to them on that one. That carmine, I would say that that's right there. Okay, now I want to go back and say something here. This permanent alizarin here is a beautiful color. I think it's wonderful. It's just not doing justice to its namesake. But as a color standalone by itself, and that's what people should do with it in their sets. They should just take it and say, okay, look, we know that this is not a real alizarin crimson, so let's give it a different color name because that's a beautiful color. And I would use it if it didn't say permanent alizarin crimson, which pisses me off. But otherwise, I would think that that's a beautiful color and I'd use it. Anyway, the permanent carmine, I would use that color. That's a very nice color. We have here, this is going to be permanent, Series 3, transparent, and staining. A permanent rose. Now this is what I would think like a quinacridone rose is. So, and that's more like it. Yes, okay, so that one is much more like a quinacridone rose that I'm familiar with from something like a Daniel Smith. It's a little bit different than the other one here. This quinacridone red here is not, I don't think so. I wouldn't accept that. This is much cooler. And as you get cooler, of course, the other colors look less cool. But if you come all the way down here to the other reds, it looks much cooler. Anyway, what I'm saying is, this is more what I think of when I think of that quinacridone rose. And you can tell because when you wipe that, it's just as pink as it can get right under there. There's nothing else but pink under there. And if you get it very concentrated, you can get like just a deeper pink. It doesn't really turn red. But a quinacridone red will turn red the deeper it gets. Okay, a Rose Madder Genuine. Oh wait, let me go back here. So this is a permanent Series 3 transparent, very good light fastness, and it's staining. This here, Rose Madder Genuine. And I've never seen this be very strong anywhere. And so this is a weak tinting strength. And every Rose Madder that I've seen, with the exception of Holbein, I think theirs was a little bit deeper. A little bit more concentrated, a little bit darker. But that dot's coming up, and it's still not getting much darker. That's okay. It's a nice color. It's a pretty color. Very similar between these two, but I would go with the Permanent Rose personally because I think not only is it just a better color, it's less expensive. This is Series 4, this is Series 3. But also you can get different shades of it. So you can get a more intense pink up here or get a more watered out pink. Here it's hard to get the intense. And this one here actually shows that it's moderately durable. So this is about as good as the Alizarin Crimson is as far as the how well it's going to do in the long term. Okay, Opera Rose, we have everybody, I know a lot of people, not everybody, a lot of people like this Opera Rose. I've never liked it because it just looks too, I don't know. Now, maybe if I was a floral artist, I would like this. Just the tinting strength is nothing here. So it's you can get some nice color there. I'm not saying you can't, but just not for me. It's too bright, too fluorescent. I just don't like it. Anyway, it has virtually no durability, just like the other one does. It's a B. Series 2, which means it's relatively inexpensive compared to the others. And then it's a semi-transparent, but there's no light fast rating for this. It's not light fast at all. Okay, quinacridone magenta. Let's see what you do. And that's a magenta color, absolutely. And it gets nice and dark and deep, which is what it should do. Absolutely fine color if that's the kind of color you like. If you like the magenta color, that's a fine example of one. So we have here, it's permanent, Series 3 transparent, but there's no light fast rating on it, and I'm not sure why. Generally speaking, quinacridone magenta, it has a light fast, very good light fast rating. So I don't know why this one does not. Here's a permanent magenta, so maybe they're saying that the, oh, this is a little bit more, okay, there's a little bit more blue in this one, so it looks a little bit more purple. That's an interesting magenta color. It's a lot more intense than the other one. It's permanent, Series 3, transparent, light fast of 1, and staining. So I don't know. When I think of magenta, that's more of the color I think of, but this is also a very interesting color. It's very pretty. I just don't know if I wouldn't use it most likely, but I could understand why people would. Okay, next, Cobalt Violet. So I love cobalt colors. I know they're terrible and all the nonsense, but I love cobalt colors. They tend to be a little bit weaker sometimes, and this one tends to look a little bit weaker from what I'm seeing here. So, but they are granulating, which is something that I love about cobalt colors. I could almost say I tried as hard as I could to give everything an upward inflection because of this color, but it just, as I was talking, it just didn't work out. I tried, I'm sorry. So I can try it. But this dot is disappearing, and see how it's disappearing, and the color's looking like this, and it's not as intense, and it's hard to do. You try it. Anyway, I'm not a fan of the color. I do like the granulation. It's a pretty color, but not for me. If you're a floral painter, again, it's probably pretty. You can do some different things with it, put it on some lighter areas, maybe some highlights, but other than that, it's not useful for me. We have a AA, which is extremely permanent here. Series 4, semi-transparent, extremely light fast and granulating. Oh, permanent mauve. I've never, is it mauve or mauve? I don't know. I've heard people pronounce it 100 different ways, and it doesn't matter which way I do, you'll pronounce it differently and have to correct me. So that's fine. I'm used to it. Everybody corrects me about everything. So this is an interesting color because I've never even seen a permanent mauve before, or mauve, or however you want to say that. But Very interesting. You can see the granulation on it. Beautiful, beautiful color. I'd use this over any of these here. This is a nice color. I think I actually would get this. Yeah, this is something that I would definitely get. That's a beautiful color. So it's permanent, Series 3, semi-transparent, excellent light fastness and granulating. That one's going to go on my palette, I think. We have a quinacridone. Violet is next. Let's see. And that is it's a good violet color, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. Very intense. Permanent, Series 3. We have that, it's transparent with excellent light fastness, so that's great. Quinacridones usually do. Some companies have the quinacridones that they don't have excellent light fastness, but usually quinacridones do. An ultramarine violet. Now, ultramarine violets are usually beautiful. I'm not a big fan of ultramarine blue, but ultramarine violets, which is when you take that ultramarine and just make it a little bit more to the warm side, make it a little bit more purple, you end up with something like this. Okay, let's try that again. No, there's enough water on it. It's just a light. It's okay. It's good. It's good. Just took a little bit of coaxing to get it to activate. That's all. Permanent Series 2, which means it's less expensive. That's always a good thing. Semi-transparent, excellent light fastness, and granulating. So that's interesting too. It's granulating. Let's see. Again, a very pretty color. That's a very pretty color. I love this color. I would use this for so many different things. I absolutely love it. But this is still a nice color. Okay, now we're at the Winsor Violet. Oh, it says right there dioxazine. So it's a dioxazine purple. That's what I was expecting. So a company puts their name on something, they want to make sure that it's good. And here it is. And this is one of the darkest purples you'll ever see, but absolutely beautiful. It can get almost black in mass tone, but is very beautiful as a color, as just a dark color. Absolutely love it. I don't use it at all. I don't use it for me at all, but it's just a beautiful color, I will say that. Definitely Floral Artist, this is a color that should be on your palette no matter what. Permanent Series 1, so it's less expensive, transparent, and staining. Indanthrene Blue now. The Indanthrene Blue. Okay, so this is a color that a lot of people love, and I don't know if I do. Let's find out. I've heard about their Indanthrene Blues by a lot of different artists who say that they're just so deep. It's just a deep blue color. Now it's a little bit to the warm side, I will say that, but it's just a beautiful color because of how deep and dark it gets. And I think I would be able to use that. Even though it's a warmer blue, I still think that's a very pretty color. So for permanent, Series 3 and semi-transparent, they did not at all give any kind of light fast rating here. I don't know what that means, but I thought Indanthrene Blue was more like a good light fastness, but not necessarily excellent, so I don't know. But this is a good color. I would experiment with this color quite a bit. I think I like it. Cobalt Blue Deep. Now I know what a Cobalt Blue is. What's a Cobalt Blue Deep? More red. That's what that is. Okay, so the Cobalt Blue Deep is just more red to it. And I'm not a fan. This is one of those colors that I'm not a fan of, even though it's a granulating color, and you can see that it's granulating. Or at least people with eyes, I can see that it's granulating color. Anyway, extremely permanent, Series 4, semi-transparent, granulating. Nice granulation, but again, not a color I'd be interested in. This reminds me of like an indigo almost. This is just a beautiful color. I do like that. Even though there's no rating on it, I might pick that up. That's a pretty color. French ultramarine, the French part in the ultramarine means it's more red than it is a regular ultramarine. So let's see if that holds true. And yeah, that's a very, very, very reddish blue. Not a fan even a little bit, but a lot of people like it. So when I first picked up my ultramarine blue from Daniel Smith, I got the French ultramarine version because I thought it was better. That's what I kept hearing. And if you know Cho from parkerblogs.com, that's his thing. Cho, he's got a channel here, parkerblogs.com. And He used this for a very long time on his main palette. Every main palette that he would get, he would put this color on. And watching him and enjoying his content and doing some of the artwork along with him, I would get this color. But I just ended up where I just didn't like it because I don't like the reddish blues. It's just not in my, it's not in my palette. How do you say that? My palette taste? I don't know. Anyway, it is permanent. Series 2, which is not very expensive compared to some of the others. Transparent, excellent light fastness, and granulating because ultramarines are granulating. Smalt blue. Now, I've heard of this before. Otherwise known as Demant's blue, but I've heard that name too, but I didn't know they were the same thing. But smalt blue is supposed to be very light tinting strength. That's the ones that I've always seen. Very, very light, can almost get no color out of them. Let's see what this does. Oh, not bad. That's not bad at all. You can get some color out of that. That's wonderful. It's not my thing because it is a little bit red leaning. Matter of fact, it's a lot of bit red leaning, almost like to the point where it's a light purple, like a light lavender or something. Not really. It's a blue, but still very, very reddish blue and not my thing. But I got a lot of color out of that. That's very impressive. I think that's nice. So you have a permanent Series 3 transparent, excellent light fastness, and granulating. So that's also good. And I need to clear a spot then, I guess. I want to see if that can get a little bit more granulation in here. So let's see how that works. Okay, we have an ultramarine here. This is the standard. This is the green shade, which is the standard version of ultramarine. It's not really a green shade. It's still a very red-blue. But they say that it's compared to the other one, that it's the red shade. And you can look, when you look at them side by side, you can see that this one has a little bit more red in it, and this one has a little bit less red in it. But it's still a very warm blue. Permanent Series 2, transparent, light fast of 1. Cobalt blue. Now, cobalt blue is what I would consider a true blue or a medium blue. Because it's not really warm and it's not really cool. It's just a traditional warm, or no, I mean a traditional, yeah, warm. I just said it's not warm. It's just a traditional blue. Now the thing with this though is that it is granulating, and so making a little bit of space over here so that we can see it, and dropping a couple of extra things in there. We're gonna see that this here is going to granulate all down here. It's absolutely beautiful. I like cobalts. I'm a fan of cobalt colors. This is extremely permanent. We have Series 4, so it's a little bit more expensive. Semi-transparent, excellent light fastness, and granulating. And it's a pretty color. I do like this. You see these two colors next to each other, you know this is the cooler color. But it's not really a cool color. If you look at this next to a cool blue, it will not look that way. So we're about to see a cooler blue, but this might look a little bit more like an ultramarine because this is the Winsor Blue red shade, and that tells me right there that this is a phthalo blue red shade. That's what this is. So even though it's not as not as warm as this French ultramarine, it's the red shade version of the phthalo color. And we're going to look at probably another, yeah, there's a regular Winsor Blue over here. We'll look at that here in a second. Permanent Series 1, so it's less expensive. All the phthalos are, they're pretty less expensive. Fully transparent. 2 is very good light fastness, and then you have staining, and all the phthalos will stain like crazy. Antwerp Blue, I've heard a lot of things about this. I've never seen one. Let's see how it is. Okay, so this is actually a very nice dark blue. I like it. Let's see if I can get them both on the screen here. So you can see this is a much cooler version of a deep blue, where this is a much darker version of a deep blue. So it's a deep blue. It's a very pretty color. I do like it a lot. I do not have any kind of... Oh, there's a one light fast ray. Okay, so it's permanent, Series 1, transparent, and there is... how am I going to get this? This is excellent light fastness. This is a very nice color. I think I like that color a lot. So far, that is my favorite blue that I've swatched out here so far. I'm getting that color. That's going on though. That's going to go right in the palette. We have a Prussian blue. Prussian blues are wonderful. They're dark and deep and mysterious, and they're mixed with so many other things. Anyway, very, very pigmented, which is great. Very dark blue, but still a little bit more red compared to this one. So it leans more towards that Winsor blue red shade than it does towards anything else. Permanence, Series 1, transparent, light fast is excellent, and it's staining. Prussian blue is a really good mixing color. I do enjoy mixing with it. It's a nice color. Winsor blue, let's take a look at that. Now this is going to be your phthalo blue green shade, which is the colon 3. And you can tell with this one that it's so much more cool than this one over here. You can see how much brighter it is and how cooler leaning it is than this one, which leans more red. This one leans more, when I say leans more red, I mean leans more towards purple, because that's what it means to lean more towards red. And this one leans more towards green, and that makes that one, or more yellow, I should say, but really more green, and it is a green shade. So now why the phthalos are coming up as a light fastness of 2, I'm not really sure. Phthalos are usually light fast. They're usually a 1. But anyway, it's permanent, Series 1, so it's less expensive. It's transparent, very good light fastness and staining. Now, I have not seen any company that says a cerulean blue red shade. I've never seen that before in my life. Let's see what that's interesting. Let's see what that does. So ceruleans, sometimes they're a little bit harder to re-wet. Sometimes they're just less tinting strength. It just depends on what's happening. This is not harder to re-wet. It's just a lower tinting strength here. But that's okay. It's still a pretty color. It's sky blue. That's what you think of when you think of cerulean, as a nice sky blue color, a little bit to the cooler side. We have extremely permanent color. We have a Series 3. It's opaque because most ceruleans are. And let me see if this is, yeah, that's opaque. It's sitting on top of the line nicely. And then we have a light fastness of 1, and it's granulating, because that's what ceruleans do very well, is that they granulate. So you put it in the sky. I don't know why. My sky doesn't granulate, and especially without taking anything. But this particular one looks like you put this in the sky, and I put these in the sky all the time. I use a cerulean blue chromium that I put in the sky, but that's okay. Anyway, it's granulating. You put it in the sky, it looks beautiful. Here's a standard cerulean blue, so let's see how they differ. Yeah, there's a little bit of difference there. There's a little bit more color coming up from that one. So that one has a little bit more color. That manganese, that has almost no color to it at all. But that's okay, we'll get there. Same thing, granulating, excellent permanence. It's got Series 3, semi-opaque on this one. And it's got a light fastness is excellent, and granulating. Excellent, wonderful. Manganese blue hue, I've never seen one that had a tinting strength to it. Let's see if this one does. It's going to take a second. These are hard to re-wet, and there's not a lot of color that usually comes up from it. It's very, very light. You could have a whole pan of it and shove your brush in there, and it still comes off this light. So that's okay. This is a granulating version. It's not as light as the Daniel Smith version. Sometimes you can't even see that coming off onto the page. So you have the permanent, you have Series 2, semi-opaque, light fastness of 2, which is very good, and it's granulating. And that's the other thing. Some of the manganese blue hues do not granulate, depending on the mix that they use. Some companies use a phthalo blue with a little bit of white to get this. So I don't know what they're using, but if it's granulating, it's not a phthalo blue. So I'm not sure what that is. Okay, we're a little bit more than halfway through, if you can believe that. Are you ready to keep going? I am. We'll keep moving forward and just see where we get. So we have a phthalo turquoise. Again, beautiful color. Usually, phthalo turquoise leans a little bit more blue. And let's see what this one, yes, it does. This is what I think of. Thank you. Someone's validating me. Thank you so much. When I think of a phthalo turquoise, or turquoise in general, that's the color I think of. I know it's a little bit intense. It's a phthalo color, so it's going to be a little bit more intense. But it has good permanence, Series 2, completely transparent and staining, and there's no light fast rating here, but I'm telling you, if it's a phthalo turquoise for real, it's got a light fastness to it. I believe it. Anyway, beautiful color. I love these colors. This is for a very nice greenish blue color right in the middle. There you go. Here's an aqua green. Let's see what this, and this is more what I would say is like a tealish-ish, not completely teal. That's actually a really nice color. Teals are usually a little bit more mellow than this, but absolutely beautiful, and it's actually granulated. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a cobalt teal. That's what that reminds me of. It doesn't say that, but this isn't just says aqua green. But I think that's what that is. It looks like a cobalt teal. Anyway, it's permanent, Series 3, transparent, excellent light fastness, and granulating. And because of its cobalt, that would make sense. But I'm telling you, that's a beautiful color. I would use that. We will continue here. We have the cobalt, which is it says turquoise light. Cobalt turquoise light. So let's see how that is. And that's almost what I would expect more of a teal to look like. This is more of a teal, that's for sure. Okay. But I know if you're looking at a turquoise stone, I could see that. So I gotcha. I understand what you're saying. It's supposed to be a granulating color. I can see the granulation. If you can't, not my problem. Extremely permanent. We have a Series 4 with a semi-opaqueness, and it's granulating. Absolutely wonderful. Still like that color. That's one of my favorite colors on this whole page. Cobalt turquoise. So now we're getting into the cobalt turquoise. That's what I thought that one was. Anyway, a little bit more green color, and cobalt turquoises usually are a little bit more green. That's what I thought that one was. But and granulating. So we're gonna try and make that, yeah, so you can see that granulation right away. I love my cobalt greens and cobalt turquoises. Those colors there. So that's beautiful. This is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Isn't that wonderful? So extremely permanent. We have a Series 4. We have semi-opaque. It is a excellent light fastness and granulating. Beautiful. Are you still with me? Is everyone still here? Probably not. Okay, let's move on to Cobalt Green Deep. Oh, that's a nice color. Cobalt Green Deep. That's really nice color. I would definitely use that color. See, this is, when you get to things like this and you can impress me with your greens, then that says something. I'm not a big, I like certain greens, but I don't like a lot of them. And now you're impressing me with them. That says something. So, extremely permanent, Series 3, opaque. It's excellent light fastness and granulating. Okay, a standard cobalt green. Let's see what that looks like. Well, you lost me a little bit. It's still a nice color, but not what I would expect a cobalt. Actually, the cobalt green deep is what I expect a cobalt green to look like. So I don't know what I expected from this color, but it's a little different for me than what I see. That's very opaque. That's more opaque than some of the opaque colors. This is an opaque color, not a semi-opaque color, but that's what they're calling it. That's fine. Extremely permanent, Series 4, semi-opaque, and granulating. Winsor Green Blue shade. So this is going to be your phthalo green, my least favorite paint in the world. I would tear it out of this world if I could. It's permanent. Oh, it's permanent, all right. It'll stain everything you own. It is Series 1, so it's less expensive, transparent, excellent light fastness, and staining. And it is them. I'm telling you, I would get rid of that immediately. Viridian. Now, Viridian is a color that I love, so it's usually hard to re-wet though. But it's like this emerald color here. It just doesn't stain everything. Of course, it is hard to work. I might just let that sit with a drop of water on it for a second and see what happens there, and I'll come right back to that one. So here's Winsor Green Yellow shade, another phthalo green. Oh my goodness, I hate this color. Anyway, it's excellent permanence, Series 1, transparent, excellent light fastness, and staining, just like its bigger brother over there. Hate the damn thing. Okay, we're going to see the Terravert. So sometimes this one, too, is going to be hard to re-wet. So I'm going to put a drop of water on there. Let's come back to this one here, this Viridian here, and see if we can't get some color off here. It's so hard to re-wet this, but one of the most beautiful colors if you can get it to re-wet. It usually dries like a freaking rock. You see all the little specks coming off? That's because instead of just breaking up and turning into paint, just the pieces are coming off. That's just terrible. It's going to break apart the paper before it ever breaks apart the paint. But anyway, you got to take my word for it. Very pretty color. Very similar in shade to a phthalo green if you can get it to when it's fresh. Usually this paint you pour straight out of the tube, and that's how you use it. Because see all these little pieces here? That's not granulation, even though it does granulate. But that's not granulation. Those are specks of paint or paper breaking off instead of the paint. Now the Terre Verte can do the same thing, but it's a very pretty color, very pale color, but very nice, and I do like it. Almost like Daniel Smith's Rare Earth, almost like that color. Rare Green Earth or something like that, I forget what they call it. But anyway, just a beautiful color. I like the color, it's so weak in tinting strength that it's almost not worth using unless you're going to use it directly out of the tube. If I was going for something like this, I'd probably head down this way, pick up this Cobalt Green Deep and use that instead of this, and I'd use them that way. And I'd also use this as like a Perylene Green too. It's a dark color, not quite black as Perylene Green, but still I would use this in that kind of way. I love that color. And speaking of, we have a Perylene Green, so maybe I don't have to use it for anything else. Yeah, see, that's the stuff right there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Perylene Green is one of my favorite greens to ever exist. I love it. It's beautiful. It's very deep and dark. I'm going to clean it up a little bit for you so you can see it. But it is a beautiful color. I absolutely love it. I would use it for everything if I could. It's just a wonderful color. Love Perylene colors. Let me just read this quick. So it's extremely permanent. You have Series 1, semi-transparent, which it's all transparent because you can't get enough paint off the damn thing. Anyway, Series 1, which is, Light Fast 1, which is excellent light fastness and granulating. Perylene Green is permanent. It is Series 2, so it's not too expensive. It's transparent, and until you get to that dark black area there, if you put that over something like over here, you don't see that line under there. It's too dark. Transparent is what it says. That's fine. Staining, it's a beautiful color. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite greens ever. This is another green that I absolutely love. The oxide of chromium, or chromium green oxide is how you say it for other companies, but it's a nice color, very opaque, almost like a gouache, but very, very, yeah, and you can see, look at that. It covers everything. You can't even see the dot anymore. Again, I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful color. It does granulate, so I'm going to scoop some of this off here and show you some of the granulation. And there it is. You can see it right there. So you have extremely permanent, Series 3, opaque. This is the most opaque paint probably that they have in their entire set. Excellent light fastness, staining, and granulating. Is this cathartic for you? It's cathartic for me. I enjoy doing this. I love just looking at watercolor. It's one of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to paint. I just take a color and I just paint it on a page and just watch it dance. Hooker's Green, a very dark green usually, and nice. This is not as dark as I thought it was going to be. I'm not saying it's not a nice color. Not for me. I probably would not use this color just because I would get my greens from other places, but it's a little bit more leaning yellow to me than anything else, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm sure they have an olive green over here. I love olive greens. Let me see if we have, now hold on a second. This is a Terre Verte, that's a Terre Verte. Yellow shade, okay. All right, let's just keep moving. Permanent sap green, I don't know what that means. Yeah, I guess it could be a sap greenish color. It's a sap greenish color. It's just not my favorite. Next to this one, I'd probably use that one over this one, but that's okay. It's still a nice color. It's kind of like a sap green. I would give it that. Permanent Series 1, transparent and staining. Now this olive green, I love olive greens. I usually almost always love an olive green, even though they're a little bit more yellow, I know, but they're like an earth yellow. color that they're added. And I just, for some reason, I like these for like mossy areas and things like that. That's my favorite kind of, I guess, the lighter yellowish greens. That's it right there. Permanent Series 1 transparent, 2 light fast, which is very good, and staining. All right, let's look at the Terravert yellow shade, which, you know what? Let me just put that dot on there again so that we can let that sit for a second. Green gold, I hate green gold. I absolutely hate green gold. I just don't, I didn't even want to swatch this color out when I saw it. It's disgusting. It's ugly. I do not like, a lot of people, oh, it's a good mixing color. You save your own mixes. I'm not doing that. Anyway, it's permanent. It's a Series 2 and transparent. They didn't do any kind of light fast rating test on it because why bother? Anyway, let's move over here to the Terravert yellow shade, which again, it's going to do the same thing the other one did. I do not like this color though. It's almost like a green gold. It's that kind of yellow color. And I don't like it. When you compare it to the other one, which is over here, this Terravert here, I like that color. Nah, I don't like this color. Anyway, Naples yellow. I like Naples yellow. They vary drastically depending on which company you're talking about. So, but they usually have this kind of fleshy color. That's, I mean, it's always some kind of fleshy color, but the way that they come out can be very drastic. Some are more yellow, some are more brown. That's a nice color. It's opaque. It's definitely opaque. You can see that. Excellent permanence, Series 1 opaque, and excellent light fastness. It's a very pretty color. It's good to use for things. I don't use it a whole lot, but I do like it. Here's a Naples yellow deep, and now we're getting to where some of the other companies have a Naples yellow that looks like this. Do you see the difference between the two? Some companies have it more like this. Some companies have it more like this. I like them both. But I would probably use this one a little bit more depending on what I was doing. I can't say that. This is more I would use if the entire set does not have like a buff titanium or something. I may use this kind of color in that place. But for as far as a yellow, like a Naples yellow kind of color, I'd probably go this way. And it has the same kind of rating as the one as its younger brother there. So anyway, let's hit a yellow ochre light. Now, I don't know what a yellow ochre light necessarily looks like. I know what a yellow ochre looks like, so maybe a little bit more yellow. Is that what we're seeing? That there's a little bit more yellow on it? It's very light tinting strength, and that's something, it's an earth, some of the earth colors in the traditional companies that when they make some of the earth colors, they're a little bit harder to re-wet. I'm not going to fault the company for that. Sometimes that's just how it is. It eventually gets there, so that means if you spray your palette a little bit before you start working on with it, it'll come out like that. That's fine. And then this is supposed to be a little bit granulating. I see a little bit of granulation on it, but it's so light in tinting strength that you almost don't. Extremely permanent, Series 1, semi-opaque. I don't know if I agree with that 100%. I know yellow ochres tend to be, but I'm not sure. And then light fastness is excellent and granulating. Okay, moving right along, we have a yellow ochre here. This is a standard yellow ochre, probably the PY42. That's probably what this is, yellow iron oxide. And yeah, that's a yellow ochre color. I would say that's a good yellow ochre color. Absolutely, I could do that. I would definitely do that. And I like yellow ochres. The Mars yellow is my favorite from Daniel Smith, but that's still a great color. This here has extremely permanent, Series 1, semi-opaque, which usually a good yellow ochre is. Light fastness is excellent, and then granulating. Raw sienna is kind of the transparent version of a yellow ochre, so let's see how that does. Takes a little bit to re-wet, just as expected. And a lighter color, less tinting strength, a little bit lighter of a color than I would have expected, but that's okay. It's still a nice color. Extremely permanent, Series 1, transparent, extremely light fast, and granulating, which is hard to see. When you have a light tinting strength color, it's hard to see granulation. It just always is. Unless I actually did sit there and put a ton of water into it and then just drop it in or something. You really wouldn't see it unless you did that. But Sometimes you can tell, actually, sometimes you can get it from the more concentrated parts, which is what everyone else says is the opposite. Oh, you got to use more water. Sometimes you don't. If it's a light tinting strength, you put a little bit more color into it, you see a little bit more granulation. Okay, gold ochre. Oh, very pretty color. So a little bit more orange in the color. Wow, that's opaque. That is not semi-transparent. That is definitely semi-opaque, if anything. That's opaque. I don't care what anybody says. That's a very pretty color. I really like that color. I would say that's one of my favorite colors so far as the earth tones go. I really like that color. It's kind of orangey. It's earthy. Yeah, it's nice. So that gold ochre, extremely permanent. We have a Series 2 semi-transparent, even though I say it's... Well, it actually did lighten up a little bit on that line. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll stand corrected. Light fastness is extremely light fast and staining. So, great color. Transparent gold deep. Let's see what this... Oh, wait a minute now. Okay, so this is going to be like your... Yeah, okay. I don't like these colors. This is way too yellow for any kind of color. That's not a... I understand that people like the quinacridone golds, but this is not right because there's no... the actual pigment is gone. It fell out of favor with the auto industry and it was removed because they don't keep it just for people who like to watercolor. So they took it away. This is not a quinacridone gold. I don't care who you are, what you think. This is not. That yellow is way too bright in the background. And then the orangey rusty color, that's working. If you had that with a different color in the background, it would probably be okay. But that you don't have that bright of a yellow. That's not how a quinacridone gold works. Anyways, Permanent Series 3, completely transparent and staining. It's because of that yellow that's staining. That orange part would come right up. Brown ochre. I like the ochres. I'm all about the ochres. This is a little bit lighter tinting strength, but beautiful color. Absolutely wonderful color. I like it a lot. Extremely permanent, Series 1, semi-transparent. I think it's mostly transparent. I don't see anything hanging up on those lines, but that's okay. Excellent light fastness and granulating. So there's supposed to be some granulation in there. Let's take a look. Take a little bit here, drop it in here a little bit, and we'll see. It's a little bit lighter tinting strength, so it's going to be harder to see. Again, unless you had a massive area where you put a lot of water into. Magnesium brown. Now, I've seen a magnesium brown that I've really enjoyed, so let's see how this one is. Yeah, wow, that is nice. So that is beautifully opaque for someone who likes opaque colors. A lot of people don't. I don't understand that because I like opaque colors. I use them with my transparent colors and give them a little bit more transparency or give the other colors a little bit more opaqueness. It's fine. And it does granulate. Yep, look at that. That's nice. That's really pretty. I'd be about that. So the extremely permanent, Series 1, opaque, and granulating. So Series 1 means it's less expensive, and so it's a little bit more affordable. I'm going to be all over that. Burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is one of those colors where you have a burnt sienna from someone, and it could look one way or a completely different way. Could look more orange, could look more red, could look more brown. And a lot of people would just say, yep, that's a burnt sienna. And so that's what I would say. It's a orangey brownish color. Not too red, so I would say that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Extremely permanent. I don't use them very much, by the way. The burnt sienna is not a big color for me. I don't use it as much. I usually use other colors like a quinacridone rust or something like that, or quinacridone orange or something like that, and use that instead. But still, very pretty color. A lot of people use this to mix with gray, make grays with it and things like that. That's okay too. Extremely permanent, like I said. Series 1, transparent and extremely light fast. Light red. Now, I've used a light red, their Cotman version of a light red, and it's a little bit easier to re-wet than this, but I have it in a big pan. So, oh, there it goes. It's fine. It just took a second. Everything's fine. Now, light red, sometimes I would think that it would be a little bit more opaque than what it is. It's saying semi-opaque, but I don't see that. It looks kind of transparent to me. Anyway, that's fine. Extremely permanent. It's Series 1 and semi-opaque is what they're saying. I don't see that, but whatever. Not my color, though. I wouldn't use that. Okay, Venetian red. Here we go with a Venetian red, and that is a beautiful color. It's a PR 101, I'm sure of it, and that is absolutely beautiful. Oh, I love it. And as PR 101s go, that is going to be... PR 101s are granulated. You can see the granulation in that. Why are they not saying it's granulating? You can see it all over it. Okay, anyway, it's extremely permanent, Series 1, very opaque, and it's staining. I love this color. This is a beautiful color. That's going in my set. Indian red is another one. PR 101 right here, and this is another beautiful color. Just as opaque, but it's leans a little bit more reddish. Some of my favorite, and it's, again, these are granulating paints. I don't know why they're not listing them that way. Beautiful colors. I love these colors. So one's a little bit more orange, one's a little bit more red. Beautiful combination. I'd use them in a heartbeat. Extremely permanent, Series 1, opaque, and extremely light fast. To be Series 1 means they're less expensive and beautiful. That's hard to find. Of course, it just means that they're more affordable for them to get the pigments too. That's what they're saying, but don't worry about that. Brown matter. Now, I've seen some brown matters that look beautiful. And it looks like this is no exception. It's a very, very reddish brown, almost like a deep red color, but it'll dry a little bit more shifted, or at least the ones that I've seen. They dry a little bit shifted more towards brown and they lose some of that redness. Permanent Series 1, semi-transparent and staining. Now we have the Potter's Pink. Okay, the Potter's Pink, I'm going to drop some water on here because this I know is sometimes hard to re-wet, and I'm going to give it a second. Let's move on here. Perylene Maroon. Again, love the Perylene colors. One of my favorite sets of colors are the Perylenes. Love them. Let's see what this one does. Yes, look at that deepness. Now this looks very red at first, but usually dries more brown, just like the other one did, or it does. It didn't do it yet, but look, I'm going to try and get some extra color out in here because that is a deep, dark color, and I absolutely love it. Wonderful color. Very permanent. We have a Series 3 transparent, and it's supposed to be staining. This is just a beautiful color. Let's see when that dries, if it shifts a little bit more and loses some of the red color. Perylene Violet, again, one of my favorite colors in either Daniel Smith or Core is the Perylene Violet. Oh, I've got to compare these. This is a very deep color, but I think they're very, very different. They are very different. This is not as violet as I would expect it to be. Almost looks a little bit more reddish than violet. So still a beautiful color, a wonderful color. Permanent, you have Series 2 transparent and staining. Let's see if I can work this Potter's Pink now. Yeah, it broke up very nicely. Potter's Pink is a great color. It's that deep pinkish hue color. That actually broke up a lot more than some other Potter's Pinks that I've seen. So good on them. Very granulating. You can see the granulation everywhere. It's just all over it. No matter how you do it, it granulates. It's extremely permanent. Series 2 semi-opaque and granulating. It's a beautiful color. I do love that Potter's Pink. All right, Caput Mortem. Another PR 101 typically. I absolutely love these colors. It's just a beautiful color. So this one's going to be a little bit more purple compared to the other ones, or that's usually the way that they run. They're so deep and dark, I got to clear them away just so you can see the beauty that's underneath all the granulation and the colors, and oh, absolutely wonderful. Love these. So this is going to be extremely permanent, series 2, opaque, extremely light fast, staining and granulating, beautiful color, wonderful. You get all of them. Just don't hesitate. You get the Venetian red here, you get the Indian red, you get the Caput Mortem. They're a trifecta. I love them. Let's take a look at the raw umber. Raw umber is a little bit, again, usually like a ochreish kind of color, but a little bit more, this one's a little bit more yellow. Sometimes they have like a green tint to them. Maybe this is a little green. It could be. A little bit of a greenish tint to it. But, and I'm not a fan of that. Raw umbers, I'm really not a fan of. The burnt umber right here, that's going to be my color. Okay, so we have this as extremely permanent, series 1, transparent and granulating. Let's see if I can just add a little bit here to accentuate some of the granulation here, because it is granulating a little bit, but it's going to fade because it's not extremely dark. Okay, burnt umber, let's see where you are. Huh. That's different from a burnt umber than I've seen. And I'm trying to, it's breaking up. It takes a second, but it's breaking up. It's an okay color, but a little bit more yellow than I'm used to. Burnt umbers are usually a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more true brown. Let me slide this over here so you can see the other side of the thing here. So this is not what I was expecting. Extremely permanent, series 1, transparent, and extremely light fast. Van Dyke brown. Now this will be a true brown. This will be a darker brown, more like a true brown. Yeah. And it's a pretty color. It does, you know, all the earth colors are a little bit harder to re-wet. That's okay. Still, very nice color. Very, very nice brown color. That will always have a place on my palette. I do like it. Extremely permanent, series 1, semi-transparent, light fast, extremely light fast, and staining. Let's move to the sepia. And that's exactly how I'm saying it, sepia. And that is, oh, that is nice and dark. Wow, that is a dark sepia. Okay, I've got to add a little bit of water to this because you got to see the color of it. There you go. Look at that color. Absolutely wonderful. You can use this as a tinting color to tint other colors down and kind of just knock them down with, kind of like you would with a Payne's Gray, you'd knock it down, or a neutral tint, you'd knock it down with a neutral tint. You can do that with a brown too. You just give it more of a warmer color to it, that's all. Extremely permanent, series 1, very opaque, and very light fast. So it's just it's a great color. I used to take this and the Payne's Gray and put it on every palette, and then just tune colors how I wanted it based on that. Here's an indigo. I wonder why it's all the way down here. I don't know. But it's a very dark color. Yep, very dark and stormy. Usually a little bit warmer of a color. I'm just gotta get some of that blue out here. Okay, good. So you can see that very nicely. It's a nice color. I enjoy indigo. I think it's a nice color. Sometimes the brands, it's a little bit too warm for me as far as that goes, but it's okay. Permanent, series 1. Very opaque, which is, yeah, because look, it's so dark, you can't see through it anyway. Good light fastness and staining. We're in the home stretch. This is the end of this section here. I am going to compare some colors, but we're almost done with this whole swatching. This is 108, I think it was. Let's see. Yes, 108 colors on this one. And my voice is screaming right now. Okay. Payne's Gray, one of my favorite colors ever in any set from any company. I love Payne's Gray. It's a beautiful color. I'm going to make it a little bit lighter here just so you can see some of the grayness to it. This is a very cool one. So there's a lot of blue in this Payne's Gray. Some Payne's Grays are very gray, and this one is very blue. But that's good because in the Daniel Smith, I usually use the blue gray. The Payne's blue gray is one of my favorite colors. But this is very nice, permanent, series 1, semi-opaque, good light fast, and staining. Neutral tint, this is one of the ones I was talking about. And this is how some of the Payne's Grays look, because In the Daniel Smith, the neutral tint looks almost like a very dull violet. But this here, and it's a little bit violet maybe. Yes, it is. It definitely is. Definitely is. But I can see, you can see the violet in it. But it's also very gray. So very nice color, beautiful color. I don't use it as much as the Payne's Gray, but I would. If it was on my palette, I'd use that one instead of that one. It's just a different shade, that's all. Permanent, Series 1, very opaque, good light fastness and staining. Now let's look at the Ivory Black. Ivory Black is usually a little warmer. So let's see. Yep, it has a little bit of warmth to it, which means it looks like a very dark brown. Like a very, very, very dark brown. If you look at this here, this is a little bit lighter of a brown, but it's right in that same family. It's a dark, dark brown. Lamp black is usually a little bit more of a neutral black. Oh, let me go back through this. So this is extremely permanent, Series 1 opaque, excellent light fastness, and granulating. And you can see the granulation in there. I'll clear that spot out right there. You can see all the granulation happening in there. Okay, lamp black. A little bit more of a true black usually, and that's what I think this is. It's still a little bit on the warmer side, but more of a true black. A little bit less warm, a little not cool at all. So now as it's drying, and I took a couple of seconds to let that dry a little bit, you can see how just regular gray this is out here. So it does show a lot less warmth than something like this one here, but still a nice color. Mars Black is a little bit cooler. Usually, typically, it's a little bit cooler. It's one of my favorite blacks that there is. I absolutely love a Mars Black. Let's see how this one is. Well, surprisingly, this one is a little bit more neutral, which is fine. That's good. And it's also very granulating. That's one of the other traits of the Mars Black. So you have a extremely permanent, Series 1, opaque, and granulating. Oh, they're very light fast, by the way, and granulating. So very nice color. Like that color a lot. That's the color that I usually go for a black. But in this set, I might actually go this way and go with the lamp black because it's a little bit more of a neutral black. This got a little bit more of a warm undertone than most other Mars Blacks that I've seen. Davies Gray. So Davies Gray, we're going to let this try and break up a little bit here. It's a little bit harder to re-wet, and it's a little bit light. So let me put that, oh, it's fine. We'll just leave that wet for a second and see how that goes. Okay, so this Davies Gray, we're going to wet this up. I did put some lines down so that way we can see how opaque they are. Davies Gray is a little weak tinting strength. It looks more like a greenish gray. So it's a light green gray color. Not one of my favorites, but not bad. It's just, if it was a little bit more concentrated, I would like it a little bit more. If it came off that dot a little bit better. But it is coming, the dot's breaking down. It's just that it's not very dark. It's not a very dark tinting strength here. So we have extremely permanent. You have a Series 1 semi-opaque and excellent light fastness. Now let's look at the Chinese white here. So a Chinese white could be anything from a zinc white or a titanium white, depends on what it is. This one is, I don't think it's going to cover very good. So let's just say it's going to be more of a zinc white. Not necessarily is, I have no idea. It just says Chinese white. So, and then this is the titanium white. Now this one I know is a titanium white. So yeah, that's going to cover a little better. It's a little bit, yeah, definitely more tinting strength. So that's what I would say. Now in this instance, this zinc, which I think is a zinc white, is more warm. It's a warmer color versus this titanium white, which is more cool color. And I think, well, I think that's how it goes. That is how it goes. Every time I've seen a zinc white, it's a little bit more of a warmer color than the titanium white. So it looks a little bit more off-white compared to an actual white. But it's a lot less tinting strength and a lot lighter. So that's how that works. Which means if you mix it with another color, you can actually use that to your advantage and only tune that other color a little bit so that it doesn't get completely opaque like it would with the titanium white. It doesn't get completely pastel like it would the titanium white. it'll just get barely a little bit more brighter or lighter, and you can use that to your advantage, absolutely. So that's why you'd use two different whites, just in case you were wondering why do they have a zinc white and a titanium white. You use them differently, so that's why they're there. My goodness, there's the completed set. You know, I was going to compare some things, and I do want to. I'm going to compare a couple of different ones just because I wanted to point something out. But overall, some very nice colors, some unique colors, some things that I don't have that I would really enjoy. So this gives me a lot to think about. I am going to put together a small palette of Winsor & Newton paints because I do enjoy them, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, there are more greens out of this set than I like than out of any other set I think that I've ever seen when I've swatched out greens. So that does say something for them. I just wish they would include some more information. Give me the pigment information. That's all I'm really asking for, but that's fine. Let me look at a couple of different colors here. Okay, there's the new Gamboge. This is the one from Daniel Smith that I absolutely love. It gets that orangey, dark orange down to a very light yellow, a warm yellow. This gets it has another color in it or something. There's like an undertone here that's kind of like this, but then it gets a little bit more golden in here, and I don't know what color that is. I do like it, but I don't know if I can use it. I have to see. Okay, you see this transparent gold deep right here, which I think is trying to be a quinacridone gold deep, or quinacridone gold, and you can see the similarities here. You really can, but the difference is this color is so smooth, and the undercoat color over here, like you can see this sticking out up here, is just so bright yellow. It's just not right. There's something else happening here, and I don't think, I wouldn't use this because I'm just so used to this. I don't know why companies do that. They have this bright yellow as the undertone. It just doesn't make sense. That's not what a quinacridone gold looks like. This is the original formula. I still have some. I haven't used it all up, which is kind of amazing. But anyway, just a smooth overall color here. I absolutely love that color. Okay, we're talking about quinacridone reds here, and you see how this did not get very dark red. If you just look at that part of it, that is red. That's a true red. And then as you get lighter, you get the pink down here. This is just all pink. There's no red in it at all, so I definitely won't go for that one. Okay, here's a permanent carmine here. Here is a carmine from Rose Gallery. Now the Rose Gallery carmine is definitely what I would think of as a carmine, where you get a little bit of purpley in the light side, but very, very deep red here. This permanent carmine is okay, it's close. It's just not, you didn't get the lighter part as much. You get it to about here, but not all the way down to here. That's okay. It's still a nice color. I still think it's a pretty color, and I'd probably use that. The carmines are not known for their light fastness though, so that could be a problem. They didn't put the light fastness here, and there may be a reason for that. Now this Pyrrole Crimson here is one of my favorite reds from Daniel Smith. And you put it next to this Winsor Red Deep here, and that's what it reminded me of. That's why I looked at it and said, wow, that's beautiful. It's because it reminded me of this color right here. I think it's a wonderful color. Okay, this is the Perylene Violet here, and it reminds me a lot of the Daniel Smith Perylene Violet, which I do love, but I like more of the Perylene Violet from Core. That's more of my favorite color than the other one when I had to compare them. And you can see it's a little bit more purple than this color is here. This is very dark and deep and does remind me of this other color. See how it's a little bit more red than this color? Well, let me get it on the screen here. See how this is a little bit more red than this color? Well, this one here is definitely more red than this one, but it looks very close to that one. Okay, so this is one of my favorite blues in all of Daniel Smith. It's a Mayan Blue Genuine. And this Antwerp blue reminded me of it. I know it's a completely different color, different shade and everything, but it just reminded me of it because of some of its features of how it looks matte, and it's a very interesting color, but I think I like this one better than this one. So this will probably go on my palette. Now indigos vary greatly. So this is a Daniel Smith indigo, and you'll see how it's a lot more red. You see how this is more of a warm kind of blue, and this is a cooler dark blue. But if you put it next to the, let me see if I can move this up and get them all on the screen here. If you put it next to the core indigo, it looks much closer to that. And I prefer the core indigo over the Daniel Smith indigo. And I do prefer this color over the Daniel Smith as well. So very nice color. I enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It's a wonderful thing to go through. I just love swatching out paints. I can just do that all day. Just put color on a page and just look at it and just see the different shades in it and the different way that it dances on the page and different things that it does. It's just something that I absolutely love. I hope you love it too. This was real fun. We're going to do something very similar to this again in the future. If you liked it, let me know. Let me know that you like doing these swatch outs, even though I didn't do a painting in this one. Just swatching out color, hearing my opinion about it, and killing my voice for your benefit. So let me know if you like that. And let me know what you think about Winsor and Newton watercolor. A lot of people love them, and some people have never used them. Like me, up until today, never swatched one out. So that was a great thing. It was a great experience. I had a lot of fun. And there's a lot of colors that I was looking at saying, I think I'm missing something in my sets. I need to get a couple of these colors. So that's always a great kind of discovery when you swatch out colors. I really enjoy it. I hope you do as well. So let me know if that's something that you enjoyed. You'll enjoy swatching out colors and taking a look and seeing if there's something in your sets that you're missing. I would like to hear about it. And so would these people popping up on the screen here. They would like to know your opinions about it too. I'm sure they have plenty of opinions of their own that they're going to share with me, but we'd like to hear your opinions as well. So thumb up the video if you want me to do this again and maybe do this with another thing. There's a lot in the Daniel Smith set, my goodness. I don't know if my voice could take it. But we can do this again, maybe by color family or something. But I like doing these longer videos. It's just fun to do. And hopefully you watch them in sections and not sit down all at once and watch it, because that's a lot of stuff to go through. So I don't think there was any real screw-ups in this video, so I might not post anything at the end of this. If there was, though, you'll enjoy it right now. It was Winsor and Newton. That's who it was. And is it Winsor Newton or Winsor and Newton? I don't know what it is. I think it's Winsor Newton. I don't know. So just a quick catch you up. No. One of the most exciting products I've ever had to use or tried to use. Now this is one of my favorite blues in all of Daniel Smith. Oh, let me get this on the screen. I will see you in the next... No, I can't say that. So I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I love swatching out the colors, and I hope you will let me know if you do enjoy that. If you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one.